It could be argued that the Vexilar FL8 is the most important sonar unit in ice fishing since its introduction in 1989, at least until 2017 when Garmin came out with their Panoptix ice fishing bundles. It seems like a drastic difference between those two units, a very basic mechanical flasher to a very sophisticated frequency seared sonar. So how did we get from the FL8 tech to the Panoptix tech we have today? There's one unit in between them that made a huge shift in how we look at using sonar for ice fishing. I'm Lauren with In-Depth Sonar, and today we're going to take a look at the importance of the Lowrance X67c ice machine. Back in 2004, very few serious ice anglers would trade their flasher for an LCD screen due to the many drawbacks that there were with traditional LCD units, like being very slow to respond in cold temperatures. Clearing menus could take several seconds for the LCD to refresh. It would have a ghosting effect where the previous menu would remain on the screen and slowly fade away. This obviously would happen on the sonar chart page as well, which would be even more frustrating when trying to trigger a fish to bite. That, coupled with the sonar processing delay found on all LCD units at the time, caused anglers using LCD screens to be at a major disadvantage over those with the instant update rates found on the mechanical flashers. So what changed with the X67c to begin the shift away from flashers to LCD screens that are so popular on the ice today? This unit was one of, if not the first LCD units marketed and designed primarily for ice fishing. Sure, there were companies before who had LCD units, but none were designed from the ground up as an ice fishing unit, but the X67c was just that. Many people had difficulty understanding how to read a flasher, so the X67c brought that traditional fish finder screen to ice fishermen. So anyone who had a sonar on their boat could easily understand what they were looking at. But it was also the type of LCD screen that made this unit special for ice fishermen. Not only was it a color screen, but for the first time it was a very affordable color screen from Lowrance on a small unit. But it was also an active matrix TFT transflective LCD that was optimized for use in cold climates and offered excellent viewability in direct sunlight. Lowrance put a flasher screen on the unit to try even harder to convince the die-hard flasher users to switch over to the LCD. The truth about that screen was it really didn't offer any benefits over a traditional mechanical flasher, and you'd actually be better off one if you wanted to look at a flasher all day. The traditional sonar page is what mattered on the X67c. The X67c worked best in less than 100 feet of water, as marking small lures at that depth became a bit challenging at times. The units have a feature called hyperscroll, which increases the number of soundings each second to produce a faster update rate. This is one of the ways the X67c got around the traditional LCD update delay issues. The unit was designed as an ice unit, but Lowrance also understood their customers would be putting these on their boats as well. So they gave you all the standard fishing modes you'd need on the boat, and one other mode called ice mode. This changed the color palette to something a little bit more common for ice anglers as it resembled their flasher color patterns and did a great job of distinguishing weak and strong targets from each other. It also put a battery indicator level on the screen to help keep tabs on the charge level throughout the day. This case is the second generation case for the X67c. The original was a smaller gray bag which had a transducer arm support, and that was how Lowrance got around the patent Vexilar had on their cable through the float design. But the swing out arm and transducer rod was a pain, as the rod didn't store well in the bag. It didn't take the smart anglers long to ditch that system and wrap the transducer cord around the unit base, or better yet, buy a Vexilar float for a couple of bucks and peel the sticker off, and you were all set. Like the standard Lowrance skimmer transducer, this ice deucer has stood the test of time as well. It was designed back in 2003 and almost 20 years later hasn't seen a change, other than now the color is black. Even the new black ones today have the channel for the transducer rod to pass through. Along with the X67c, Lowrance also had the M68C ice machine, which was the same unit but it had a built-in GPS. So in addition to beginning the shift away from flashers to LCDs, the M68 was a unit that brought sonar GPS combos to the ice. While this was a very basic one and pretty much only good for marking waypoints, it did have Lowrance's custom mapping built in, which covered some bodies of water, but it wasn't near as detailed as a Navionics chart. There was no card slot in the unit, so memory couldn't be expanded and charts could not be added. But it was a step in the right direction, bringing commercially available sonar GPS combo units to ice fishermen. So how can I put the $300 Lowrance X67c on the same level of importance with units like the Vexilar FL8 and Garmin Panoptix? The FL8 and Panoptix revolutionized ice fishing electronics. The X67c did as well, but in a different way. What the X67 did was pave the way for Panoptix, as that technology needed an LCD screen. The X67c got us used to using and comfortable with LCD screens on the ice. It began a shift away from using flashers for ice fishing and opening up a lot of people's eyes to the benefits of LCD screens. The other thing it did was give you the benefit of using your sonar unit year-round. This was always a problem for northern anglers who may have frozen lakes for 3 to 4 months of the year. Your expensive fish finder gets tucked away and unused for a good part of the year. And now, with the larger screen ice units that anglers are using, it hurts even more having a $3,000 piece of electronics just sitting there getting outdated by the second. While the X67c was a small and inexpensive unit, it changed a lot in the way we use sonar today for ice fishing. So let me know in the comments below. When the X67c came out, did you switch from a mechanical flasher to that unit or even another LCD unit? And if not, did Panoptix or Active Target or Mega Live, were those technologies that made you switch from your flasher? Really like to hear what you have to say about that. Drop me a comment, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks a lot for watching.